Many people know the story of Roxanne Shante, the female rapper that got her big break from the legendary producer Marley Marl. However, many do not know the story of another female MC Marley signed almost 10 years later named Sah B from Newark, New Jersey. This is her story.
Well, I met Marley Marl through Do It All from the Laws of the Underground. And we were all part of a crew back in the day called the RPT, which stood for Revolutionary Posse of Terrorists. Now, I was brought into the crew by my cousin, JMC, and that's how I met Duke. So one day, Duke called me and was telling me that Marley was looking for a female MC. And I remember Dude and Mr. Funky came to my house right on Avon Avenue and asked me for a tape, demo. So I had been in the studio working on some stuff, so I gave him a demo. He passed it on to Marley, and I get a phone call from Marley on in my dorm room. I get a phone call. I'm like, what? I couldn't believe it. I'm just hyped. I'm like, what? Marley calling me? So he told me he had listened to the demo and he liked my stuff. He wanted to meet me in person. I signed to Marley's production company in February 1993, and shortly after that is when we got the deal with Reprise Warner Brothers. Working with Marley was, first of all, it was like I was starstruck at first because he was like a legendary producer. Marley was the epitome of hip hop. If you know hip hop, he was one of the, pioneers of hip hop. He came through in the 80s, and a lot of his techniques, sampling techniques, things he was doing creatively was just, unheard of. So he was one of those pioneers that started a lot of different things. Marley had, he had 3 different studio rooms: Studio A, Studio B, Studio C. He had a guest room. So when, I was there, I had my own room. I had the whole space to just write, create. So it was just a real dope environment. Yeah, it was definitely challenging being a female in the whole hip hop game, because most of the times I was always the only female, being in a dominated male crew, even in the House of Hits, like with the Lords and other artists that came through the House of Hits. Most of them were always men, but they were like big brothers, so they always did look out for me. Some of the other issues, when you have in that industry, where especially like if you're dating or stuff like that, you have some people are very insecure when it comes to a female being in that industry, constantly traveling, constantly being in the studio. So yeah, that was some of the struggles, I would say, with being a female back then. It depends. It really depends on the beat. Certain producers, they're gonna give you, a beat that's, fast. You're gonna do something slow. Because what I used to do is just write rhymes without any kind of music. And as a writer, that really was not the correct way to do it, because what happens is a lot of your songs start to sound very similar. But then later on, I started to learn how to actually write my rhymes to the beats and not, just writing without the beat. Right, my style has always been pretty hardcore. I was always coming up, always was very focused on lyricism, lyrical integrity had to always be intact. There was a lot of push towards more of a commercial sound. They wanted, something a little bit more commercial. So the label, that was an executive decision by the label.
Time is the time to come together, the perfect weather to do whatever. Everyone is looking for companionship. Girls are out creeping, leaving their mans and shit. Brothers are acting up, girls they're jacking up.
My advice would be, as a female MC, is don't compromise your integrity in the game. You could still maintain your femininity, your sexuality without, going overboard, Talk about something. Make your music have some relevance to it. Like when you listen back, is the body of work that you're putting out, is it something that you're going to be proud of? Is it going to be something that will stand the test of time?